they were determined to get as far from the northern mountains as they could. On the fourth morning, the bronze of the clouds slowly thinned into the usual gold, and the sun struck across hills where mist curled like steam from 100 bubbling pots. Travis relaxed in the welcome warmth, feeling his shirt dry on his shoulders. It was still a waterlogged terrain ahead which should continue to slow the clan. He had high expectations of catching up with them soon, and now the worst of his bruises had faded. His muscles were limber, and he had worked out his plan as best he could. 2 hours later he sat in ambush, waiting for the scout who was walking into his hands. Under the direction of the coyotes, Travis had circled the line of march, come in ahead of the clan. Now he needed an emissary to state his challenge, and the fact that the scout he was about to jump was Manuelito, one of Deklay's supporters, suited Travis's purpose perfectly. He gathered his speed under him as the other came opposite and sprang. The rush carried Manuelito off his feet and face down on the sod, while Travis made the best of his advantage and pinned the wildly fighting man under him. Had it been one of the older braves, he might not have been so successful, but Manuelito was still a boy by Apache standards. "Lie still," Travis ordered. "Listen well, so you can say to Deklay the words of the fox." The frenzied struggle ceased. Manuelito managed to wrench his head to the left so he could see his captor. Travis loosened his grip, got to his feet. Manuelito sat up, his face darkly sullen, but he did not reach for his knife. "You will say this to Deklay. The fox says he is a man of little sense and less courage, preferring to throw stones rather than meet knife to knife as does a warrior. If he thinks as a warrior, let him prove it. His strength against my strength after the ways of the people." Some of the sullenness left Manuelito's expression. He was eager, excited. "You would duel with Deklay after the old custom?" "I would. Say this to Deklay openly so that all men may hear. Then Deklay must also give answer openly." Manuelito flushed at that implication concerning his leader's courage, and Travis knew that he would deliver the challenge openly. To keep his hold on the clan the latter must accept it, and there would be an audience of his people to witness the success or defeat of their new chief and his policies. As Manuelito disappeared, Travis summoned the coyotes, putting full effort into getting across one message. Any tribe led by Deklay would be hostile to the mutant animals. They must go into hiding, run free in the wilderness if the gamble failed Travis. Now they withdrew into the bushes, but not out of reach of his mind. He did not have too long to wait. First came Jil-Lee, Buck, Nolan, Taché, Lupe, those who had been with him on the northern scout. Then the others, the warriors first, the women making a half circle behind, leaving a free space in which Deklay walked. "I am the fox," Travis stated, "and this one has named me witch and Natdahe, outlaw of the mountains. Therefore do I come to name names in my turn. Hear me, people. This Deklay, he would walk among you as Izez Nantan, a great chief. But he does not have the go-in-die, the holy power of a chief. For this Deklay is a fool, with a head filled by nothing but his own wishes, not caring for his clan brothers. He says he leads you into safety. I say he leads you into the worst danger any living man can imagine, even in Peyot dreams. He is one twisted in his thoughts, and he would make you twisted also." Buck cut in sharply, hushing the murmur of the massed clan. "These are bold words, Fox. Will you back them?" Travis's hands were already peeling off his shirt. "I will back them," he stated between set teeth. He had known since his awakening after the stoning that this next move was the only one left for him to make. But now that the testing of his action came, he could not be certain of the outcome. of anything save that the final decision of this battle might affect more than the fate of two men. He stripped, noting that Deklay was doing the same. Having stepped into the center of the glade, Nolan was using the point of his knife to score a deep ridged circle there. Naked except for his moccasins, with only his knife in his hand, Travis took the two strides which put him in the circle facing Deklay. He surveyed his opponent's finely muscled body, realizing that his earlier estimate of Deklay's probable advantages were close to the mark. In sheer strength, the other outmatched him. Whether Deklay was skillful with his knife was another question, one which Travis would soon be able to answer. They circled, eyes intent upon each other, striving to weigh and measure each other's strengths and weaknesses. Knife dueling among the Pindalicoli, Travis remembered, had once been an art close to finished swordplay, with two evenly matched fighters able to engage for a long time without seriously marking each other. But this was a far rougher and more deadly game, with none of the niceties of such a meeting. He evaded a vicious thrust from Deklay. "The bull charges," he laughed, "and the fox snaps." By some incredible stroke of good fortune, the point of his weapon actually grazed Deklay's arm, drawing a thin, red, inch-long line across the skin. "Charge again, bull. Feel once more the fox's teeth." He strove to goad Deklay into a crippling loss of temper, knowing how the other could explode into violent rage. It was dangerous, that rage, but it could also make a man blindly careless. There was an articulate sound from Deklay, a dusky swelling in the man's face. He spat as might an enraged puma and rushed at Travis, who did not quite manage to avoid the lunge, falling back with a smarting slash across the ribs. "The bull gores," Deklay bellowed. "Horns toss the fox." He rushed again, elated by the sight of the trickling wound on Travis's side, but the slighter man slipped away. Travis knew he must be careful in such evasions. One foot across the ridged circle and he was finished as much as if Deklay's blade had found its mark. Travis tried a thrust of his own, and his foot came down hard on a sharp pebble. Through the sole of his moccasin pain shot upward, causing him to stumble. Again the scarlet flame of a wound, down his shoulder and forearm this time. Well, there was one trick he knew. Travis tossed the knife into the air, caught it with his left hand. Deklay was now facing a left-handed fighter and must adjust to that. "Paw, bull, rattle your horns," Travis cried. "The fox still shows his teeth." Deklay recovered from his instant of surprise. With a cry which was indeed like the bellow of an old range bull, he rushed into grapple, sure of his superior strength against a younger and already wounded man. Travis ducked, one knee thumping the ground. He groped out with his right hand, caught up a handful of earth, and flung it into the dusky brown face. Again it seemed that luck was on his side. That handful could not be as blinding as sand, but some bit of the shower landed in Deklay's eye. For a space of seconds Deklay was wide open, open for a blow which would rip him up the middle, the blow Travis could not and would not deliver. Instead, he took the offensive recklessly, springing straight for his opponent. As the earth-grimed fingers of one hand clawed into Deklay's face, he struck with the other, not with the point of the knife but with its shaft. But Deklay, already only half conscious from the blow, had his own chance. He fell to the ground, leaving his knife behind, 2 inches of steel between Travis's ribs. Somehow, he didn't know from where he drew that strength, Travis kept his feet and took one step and then another, out of the circle until the comforting brace of a tree trunk was against his bare back. Was he finished? He fought to nurse his rags of consciousness. Had he summoned Buck with his eyes, or had the urgency of what he had to say reached somehow from mind to mind? The other was at his side, but Travis put out a hand to ward him off.